residents in Arunapuram area protested against a demolition drive of around 260 houses by the Tamil Nadu government. Uprooted from their homes, residents complained of dealing with lack of food and water. While the residents claim that they have been living in the area for the last 60 years, government officials say that they are following a Supreme Court order which has called for the demolition.
எங்களுக்கு என்ன தீர்வுன்னு கவர்மெண்ட் தான் சொல்லணும். என்ன பண்ணுவாங்களோ தெரியல. எங்க இப்படியே விட்டுருவாங்க போல இருக்கு. நாங்க ரோட்ல நிக்கிறோம் இன்னைக்கு. அனாதை மாதிரி உட்கார்ந்துட்டு இருக்கோம். இப்படியே தான் உட்கார்ந்துட்டு இருக்கோம். கஷ்டமா இருக்கு. ஏதோ இடிக்காத வீட்டுல போயிட்டு வரோம். தண்ணி இல்லாத ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்கு. இடிச்சவங்க இந்த ரோட்ல உட்கார்ந்துட்டு இருக்கோம். எங்க நிலைமை இந்த மாதிரி இருக்கு.
இது கிடையாது. ஏன் ஓட்டு போட்டு தானே நாங்க வர வச்சோம். அவங்க எல்லாம் நல்லா இருக்குன்னு நாங்க வர வச்சோம். எங்களே இப்படி பண்ணா நாங்க என்ன பண்ண முடியும்? அன்னைக்கு வந்து எல்லாரும் கையெழுத்து கூப்பிடுறாங்களா உங்களுக்கு பட்டாக்கி இன்னைக்கு எங்க நடு ரோட்ல நிக்க வச்சுட்டாங்க. நாங்க அடுப்பை வச்சு சோறாக்கி வைத்துருவேன். நாங்க ரோட்ல
ரொம்ப கஷ்டம் தானே. எங்களை போக சொன்னா நாங்க இங்க இருந்து போக மாட்டாங்க. இங்க தான் இருக்கணும். எங்களுக்கு எங்கன்னா சுத்து வட்டத்துல வீடு தரணும். அப்பதான் நாங்க இங்க இருந்து செம்மஞ்சேரி போனா செம்மஞ்சேரில இருந்து ஸ்கூல் காலை வர முடியுமா? வர முடியாது இல்ல. இங்க எதுவுமே வசதி இல்லை. இப்ப வீடு இடிச்சோன்னு எதுவுமே இல்லம்மா. பாத்ரூம் இல்ல, சாப்பிடறதுக்கு இல்ல, எல்லாமே மாட்டிச்சு மண்ணுக்குள்ள.
All right, let's cut across to Dharani Balasubramaniam, who's joining us from Arunapuram in Chennai. Dharani, what is the status of the demolition and what are the affected families saying? All right, we'll try and reconnect with Dharani, who is standing by with us from Chennai. So you can see those pictures from the Arunapuram area where the residents are protesting a demolition drive there by the Tamil Nadu government, where around 260 houses are to be demolished in that drive. But the residents, they're saying that we've been living there for the last 6 decades. But the government officials are maintaining that they're only following a Supreme Court order which has called for this demolition. So that's the situation in Arunapuram area. We'll wait and see whether the demolition drive starts again today after what happened yesterday. Let's go across to Dharani, who's joining us from Arunapuram area in Chennai. Dharani, what's the status of the demolitions there and what are the affected families saying?
For the past 4 days, residents of Govindaswamy Nagar in Chennai's Arunapuram, they've been protesting against a demolition drive by Water Resources Department and Tamil Nadu Slum Clearance Board. And as we can see in the visuals, these are visuals of the demolished houses. Totally 259 houses were said to be demolished by both the departments. But right now, around 150 houses have already been demolished. And people who were, residing in these houses, they're all in the roads now. As we can see in the visuals, the things that were inside the houses, they are kept outside in the open. And the residents who were living in these houses that are now demolished, they are telling that they are cooking and sleeping in the open and they're not even having washrooms to use for emergency purpose. So that's one of the biggest concerns that coming from the women and children here. They are telling that they're not even having washrooms to use for emergency purpose. And as we can see, the residents are still standing here. No temporary arrangements or temporary shelter has been made for them so far by the Tamil Nadu government. They're complaining that they've been in the roads like this for the past 3-4 days, and the government hasn't made any temporary or alternate arrangements for them to go stay somewhere. They want the government to arrange for some temporary shelter so that they can go and live there for the time being. Because yesterday, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin in the assembly, he told that these people, they'll be allocated houses in the Mandavali and Mylapore areas as part of the Tamil Nadu Slum Clearance Board drive. So they are waiting for the houses to be allocated because those buildings in those areas in Mylapore and Mandavali, they are just being built. So it will at least take a few weeks for them to shift to that new area. So meanwhile, the Tamil Nadu government has to make some temporary arrangements for them, because as we can see in the visuals, all their things are in the open. See, we can see stove, cooking materials and other bed and other, all these essential living items, they are in the open now and they're not having a shelter to live. So these people are demanding the government to help them in some way, because they are telling that it's raining. It's also a rainy season here. As we can see in the visuals, it's kind of mildly raining here, and a few hours back the rain was kind of heavy. So they're telling that they cannot live in open when it's raining. So they want the government to take some action And as we already reported day before yesterday, in fact, a resident named Kanaya, who is like over 60 years of age, he set himself on fire in protest against this demolition. And yesterday, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin in the assembly, he told that Kanaya's family would be provided a compensation of rupees 10 lakh because yesterday morning, despite providing good quality treatment, Kanaya unfortunately died, and his family is suffering their mourning his death. And the Chief Minister told that rupees 10 lakh compensation would be provided. When we talk to social activists, what they are telling is that throughout this demolition drive, no standard operating procedure was followed. So that's the complaint that we are hearing from social activists and the residents here. The residents here, they are telling that they were not informed of the demolition earlier, and they were not given time to prepare themselves for relocating. So that's the complaint that we are hearing from the residents here. In fact, the Chief Minister, when he was talking in the assembly, he told that no standard operating procedure was was followed properly throughout this demolition drive, and he promised that in the further displacements that are being carried out in the city, he'll make sure that standard operating procedures are followed properly, because as far as this demolition drive is concerned, no alternate arrangements was made by the government before this demolition happened. People are left in the roads now. They are cooking, they are sleeping, and they are doing all kinds of essential living activities in the road itself now. And they want the government to create some kind of temporary shelter for them to live. So we have some of the residents with us here who can talk about the situation briefly. ஐயா வணக்கம் ஐயா. இப்போ உங்களுக்கு தற்காலிகமா தங்குறதுக்கு டெம்பரரி ஏதாவது ரெடி பண்ணிருக்காங்களா?
இல்ல எதுவும் கொடுக்கலமா, எதுவுமே கொடுக்கல. இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பாதி குடும்பம் வந்து வெளியே தான், அதுவும் கெனால் வந்து இப்போ கெனால் ஊர்லேயே வச்சுருக்காங்க. எல்லாம் நைட்டு மழையில் நனைஞ்சிக்கின்னு என்ன பண்ணுறதுன்னு தெரியாமல் சாப்பாடு கூட வழி கிடையாது. அதே மாதிரி எங்கள் ஊருக்காக இப்போ ஒருத்தர் இறந்தும் இருக்கிறாரு. எங்களுக்கு என்னன்னா இப்போ இதுக்காவது ஏதாவது தங்கத்துக்கு இடம் கொடுக்கலாம், ஏதாவது இப்போ சாப்பாடுக்காவது வழி பண்ணலாம், அதுவும் பண்ணல. அதனால் வந்து இப்போ ஏதாவது நீங்கள் தான் சொல்லி முடிவு எடுக்கணும்.
ஐயா, இப்போ மழை வேற பெஞ்சிட்டு இருக்கு, உங்களுக்கு தங்கறக்கே இடம் இல்லை அப்படிங்கிறப்ப எல்லாம் பொருள் எல்லாம் வெளியே இருக்கு, நீங்க எந்த மாதிரியான கஷ்டத்தெல்லாம் சந்திக்கிறீங்க?
சமையலாம் நாங்கள் நைட்டு ஃபுல்லாக ஸ்டவ் வச்சு இங்கே ஒர்க் பண்ணின்னுக்கிறோம். நாங்களாம் சமைக்கிறதுக்கு எதனா தேவைன்னா ஸ்டவ் வச்சு சமைச்சிட்டு மறுபடியும் வந்து அதேமாதிரி மழை வந்துச்சு, இப்போ மறுபடியும் எங்கே போகிறதுனே தெரியல எங்களுக்கு.
They are telling that the government haven't made any temporary shelter arrangements for them so far, and that they want the government to do something about it, because they are telling that they cannot live in the open space for so long, and they want the government to act immediately.
All right, Dharani, we leave it there for the moment. Thanks very much for joining us with those details from that demolition site in Chennai. So people are literally on the streets now after that demolition drive. No alternative arrangements made for them. They're cooking and sleeping on the roads. No washroom facilities available for them.